I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
To the republic,
one nation,
which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty
and
and
justice for all.
justice for all.
Well, that was good. I'm on a little delay here. Okay. Do
Sister was trying to speak. Sister was trying to switch between all of us speaking at one time.
Okay. We have no board salutes. And I would like to have a motion for approval of the agenda.
Madam President, I move that we approve the agenda as submitted.
Okay, thank you, Katie. Second. Okay, thank you, Ms. Parkins. Any discussion on that or comments? All right, on the vote, if you approve of the agenda, please say aye. If not, say nay. Christina?
Aye.
Teresa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Milt?
Aye.
Katie?
Aye.
And I approve. So the agenda is approved. We have a motion for approval of the minutes for the previous meetings, both regular and emergency meeting minutes. Motion, please.
Madam President, I move that we accept the minutes of the regular and emergency meeting as presented.
Okay, thank you. Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Milt. Any questions or discussion? Okay, we will take a vote. If you approve, Christina?
Aye.
Teresa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Milt?
Aye.
Katie?
Aye.
And I approve. So the minutes are approved for previous meetings. Okay. So we now have the Stiefel presentation by Zoom.
Board, hopefully you can hear me. As we get the year one facility plan projects up and going, which should come pretty soon. There's a little bit of delay, but one of the things I thought was important to do is to have Stiefel come back in and talk to us about where we are with our debt service, tax rate, what it's looking like for year two of the facility plan, so that we can start planning for year two in terms of debt and what we can do in terms of our facility plan. So I'm going to turn it over to Matt Schumacher, Chad Blacklock, and Luke Brugman from Stiefel, and let them go through the presentation for you guys.
Maker and Luke Burton are here with us tonight. We're just going to go over, we haven't been down to see you guys since I think it was last fall. So we've updated some information since then, and we're going to give you a little brief market update tonight as well. Municipal bond market has been a little hectic, to say the least, over the last month or so. So I'm going to turn it over to Matt, and he's going to go over some of the things we've been talking about with the facility plan, where your tax rate's been, where your debt issues would be funding the facility plan. So I'll turn it over to Matt.
Thanks, Chad. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. Yeah, like Chad said, we're here just as a quick update, mark out some new numbers on the facility plan, and you can see from the title here, we had put all of this together originally back for the September 2019 community meeting. So we've updated everything as of today, but a lot of the assumptions are from those original community meetings. So we'll walk through this really quickly. If you have questions, comments, if I say something that doesn't make sense, feel free to yell at me and stop me. I know this is a little bit different than how we usually do it, but again, feel free to stop me if you want me to repeat anything or if you have any questions. So just as a little bit of history, as you guys probably know, the school corporation had a certified total property tax rate, that's debt service operations, of $1.13 in 2019. 58 cents of that was dedicated to debt service. And then in 2020, that rate dropped slightly to 97 cents, mostly due to the debt service rate declining from 58 cents to 42 cents. And I know Mark and the rest of the administration has always been very clear from when we first met that while there is a facility plan laid out that the school would like to accomplish, they want to make sure that they're being mindful of the total tax rate. So they've set out a total tax rate of $1.10 being their goal, and they want to fund these projects, making sure that they can hit that goal and not exceed that goal. And that would be a few cents below the certified rate in 2019. So what we're here to talk about tonight are different ways to fit in the listed projects from 2020, 2021, and 2022. You can see there we have, the school has identified needs of roughly $17.8 million in 2020, $13.2 million in 2021, and then $15.5 million for what should say 2022. So we're going to illustrate how that can be accomplished over the course of the next 3 years, again, with the number one goal to be hit that $1.10. A few assumptions that we've been using in our model is net assessed value growth of 3% in the years 2021, 22, and 23. Then ratchet that down to 1% in 2024 and 25, and then a flat NAV thereafter. We are not in the business of predicting what net assessed value is going to be moving forward. It's something obviously that's very difficult to do, and a lot of factors, i.e. the coronavirus, can impact that and turn things on a dime. So what we've done is looked at the school corporation's NAV growth over the last 5 years. It's averaged a little over 4%, which is great growth when you look throughout the state. And it's ranged anywhere from 3% to 5.7%. So we hope that 3% is conservative. We realize things might change and maybe ends up coming a little bit less or a little bit more, but we have different things that we can do on a yearly basis to get that in to our assumptions and make sure we still hit that $1.10. We'll talk about that in a little bit. The other assumption that we've made is the operations fund levy would increase by the maximum levy growth quotient, which is estimated at 3.5% through 2029. That's another number that will change. That's set by the state every year. We don't know what it's going to be. We have a pretty good guess that it should be somewhere in that 3.5% range, but that's something else that we will update in our model on a yearly basis as we get better and more accurate information. I'm going to go to the next page, Renee. So what we always start with is looking at a school's outstanding debt. You know, a lot of schools have big facility plans, and the number one most important thing is what does outstanding debt look like? And this is a picture that we like to see with a school corporation that has the projects laid out of the magnitude that you do, and that is a descending debt service payment schedule, descending meaning in subsequent years those payments are going to be less and less. So this includes all of your outstanding debt obligations that would be paid out of the debt service fund rate. It includes the 2019 bond issue that was sold several months ago. And again, sets up nicely to give the school some capacity to do future projects without impacting the tax rate. Again, there's going to be a big cliff out in 2028, but there is plenty of room from 2021 to 27 to hopefully accomplish your goals and hit that tax rate. So we're going to take this project by project, show how it can be layered on to meet your overall tax rate goal. So I know when we came last year, Chad and I walked you through the model that we use based off the 16-line statement to show you that it's not just a guessing game. We layer in structured payments to hit a tax rate. It is pretty scientific, and Chad is very, very good at putting that together. So we're not going to go through that exercise again. Rather, we're going to show you in nice, pretty charts and graphs the resulting tax rate and payments from that model. So if we look at the proposed 2020 bond, we can layer in payments again to hit that tax rate goal. So you can see your tax rate that was $1.13 in 19, dropped to 97 cents in 2020, and then would go back up less than 2019, but at that $1.10 stated goal in 2021, but then leave you room again in 2022 and thereafter for future payments on future bond deals. So Renee, if you want to go to the next page, this one shows how the 2021 bonds can be layered on top of that. Again, meeting your tax rate goal, but leaving you future capacity. And then the following page will show the 2022 bonds layered on top of that. Go to the next page, Renee. Thank you. Again, adding on another set of payments, wanting to keep that debt service rate fairly steady, and we'll show how that layers on top with the pension bond fund, as well as the operations fund to get you to your over tax rate goal. But again, this is a 3-year facility plan, being mindful of that $1.10 tax rate, however, still giving the school capacity in the future to come back with future projects if needed. The last thing that we ever want to do is have you issue debt, lock up your tax rate for the next 10, 15, or 20 years. We know a school corporation of your size, with the number of buildings that you have, there will always be probably pretty fairly substantial needs. So we want to be mindful of making sure that we don't take up your capacity so that you can still keep your facilities up to date and have room to issue bonds without impacting that tax rate. Questions on any of that so far?
Bill has a
So
question.
the next page, this shows all of your.
I'm sorry, Matt, Bill has a question.
Hey,
And
Matt.
it shows, yeah.
Is he not here?
Bill Hawkins had a question.
Okay, sorry, Bill, I didn't hear you.
Okay. He's muted.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, okay.
If the net assessed value increases faster than the 3% you're projecting, does that hurt the tax rate?
So that's a great question, and I should have mentioned that. I had a precursor to that, but Renee, if you go back a page or so, it probably doesn't matter which one. So you guys have enough debt falling off annually, and given you have historically done bond issues late in the year, we should have your updated assessed value normally in the August, September range. I know yours was a little bit on the late side from the county auditor last year, but by waiting until you have the updated assessed value to sell bonds, you can pay the next year's payment exactly to match the payment you need to hit your tax rate goal. So like I mentioned, we're assuming 3%. It's not going to be 3% exactly each year.
Right.
But by waiting until we find out what that AV is. So for example, this year with the 2020 bond, if we find out what your AV growth is in August or September, you don't sell bonds until October, November, we already have the updated information and we can make sure the payment in 2021 matches exactly what your AV growth was this year. We hope it grows faster. That would be a great thing for you. It means you can pay down your debt a little bit faster. But given you are doing these on an annual basis, it helps our model greatly because we can get updated AV every single year, if that makes sense.
I barely understand it. Thank you.
You're welcome. So again, this page shows all your tax rate funds, operations, pension pension fund and debt service, again, done in a way to hit that $1.10. Again, we assumed a 3.5% growth rate in your operations fund based on that maximum levy growth quotient. That will change each year. We will update this each year. So none of this is set in stone. This is going to be a fluid model, and we will update it as soon as we get more accurate information. So as Mark and his team learn something new, we'll plug it in here and update it again, make sure that we hit that goal of $1.10. But again, you guys are still going to have very good capacity in the future to address your facility needs in a way to still hit your tax rate goals. Any questions on that? I'll give just a little bit of an update on the market. As I'm sure you know, it's been insane, but any questions on the structuring part before I move on? Okay, in terms of the market, I'm sure you've all seen the stock market. Since early March, it has been on an absolute roller coaster. The municipal market has been the exact same. So again, I'm just going to do this for a couple minutes, but that top left graph, that green line where it says 10-year NMD, is the tax rate benchmark. It's the benchmark that all tax-exempt bonds price off of. The blue line is the 10-year treasury rate. That's what's sold by the government. That's the benchmark for taxable bonds. And while that rate has been very, very strong and has actually gone lower during all of this because of the Fed intervention and the stimulus, our rate has not done that whatsoever. So early March, we actually hit the lowest interest rate in U.S. history, which was fantastic. And then about 10 business days later, the 10-year rate went from about 80 basis points, which is 0.8%, all the way up to almost 3%. Again, in a matter of 10 days, it was the fastest rise since the crash back in 1987. When you're talking that much history, that's never a good thing. Luckily, with the Fed intervention, with the stimulus packages, the various phases, that has settled things down a little bit. We have seen those rates come back fairly dramatically. We're still a bit higher than we were early March, but you're talking about a bit higher than record lows. So we did sell another school deal today. It went really, really well. They did a 20-year deal at 2.4%, which again, historically speaking, is super, super low. So we're hoping we see some stability here moving forward. As you all know, things change, not day to day, but minute to minute. So there could be some bad news that riles up our market again. But as we sit here right now, we are cautiously optimistic that things are at least in a good place right now. And hopefully by the time we get to this fall, late fall, when it's time for you guys to do a bond issue, all of this is well behind us. No way of knowing, but that's a little bit of what's happened. I will mention one other thing down there at the bottom left. This chart shows the range of what the tax-exempt benchmarks have been for each maturity, 1 through 30, over the course of the past 10 years. It's a little bit complicated, but you see there on the very bottom the 1. That's the 1-year tax-exempt interest rate, and the blue graph, or the blue bar, shows the low of that rate and the high of that rate over the course of the past 10 years. So the 1-year interest rate has been anywhere from essentially 0 all the way up to 2.5%. All the way out to year 29, that rate has been anywhere from 1.5% all the way up to 5%. The blue line shows where we are right now. So again, looking over the course of the last 10 years, interest rates are still very, very low when looking at historical standards. So that could change at any point, but as of right now, it's a very good market for people to borrow money. One more chart there on the last page, Renee. It really just regurgitates what we showed in that top left. But this just shows our market has always been volatile. We have this market that goes back, or this chart that goes back to '05, and you can imagine in '08, we saw a huge spike. But again, we've seen it ebb and flow, up and down, but over the course of the last 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, these rates over a long period of time have continued to come down. So again, we don't expect anything long-term to impact us. We think rates will stay on the low side over the course of the next years. It's hard to know what it's going to do over the next couple of months until things with the virus are figured out. So happy to answer questions on this as well if anyone has any. And if not, we certainly appreciate your time and allowing us to address the board.
Anyone?
I have one question, if I could. Again, I'm not a finance man, and I don't claim to be. If our net assessed value does creep up into the 4.5% or 5% range for a couple of years, and we still want to hold our payments at our tax rate at $1.10, and we see that we do have other needs that we could squeeze, would we be able to squeeze those into a bond issue, go ahead and take advantage of the low rates if they're available? Or
no, that's a great question, and that clearly is up to the board on whether you want to push some of these things up. But from a purely tax rate perspective, yes, we have to have pretty large payment in the first year for all of these bond issues. So to the extent, a $17 million project became a $25 million project, or a $12 million project became a $20 million project, we are confident that we can still fit that in and hit your tax rate goal. And clearly that's going to take up a little bit more future capacity, but you guys do have enough room over the course of the next several years to move some of those things up if the board thinks that that's most prudent.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Okay, anyone else? Thank you so much, Matt, for zooming in and going over that
My
information.
pleasure.
Thank you all so
Yeah,
much.
thank you for having us.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Matt. Yeah.
Okay, next we have the fund monitoring report with Dr. Dykle.
Yes, good afternoon, or good evening, Board. On the education fund, we're still getting our money, which is good.
Can't hear.
May have to actually swallow that mic.
Okay, we're working on it.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
We're good.
Much better.
Okay, good afternoon, Board. The education fund is the first one. The main collection there is the state tuition support. We collect on $5,745. So we actually collect $5,790 for the whole month. Paying $5,550 out. It's always good when we have more revenue than expenditures. One nice thing for the next 3 months, since we are closed, we're going to see savings in our sub-services, so we're not going to have, sub-costs. So that should be anywhere between $70,000 and $90,000 a month. And we'll also see a savings in workers' comp from injuries from teachers and from paraprofessionals. So that's nice there. I'm looking at a projected $2.2 million cash balance by the end of the year. In debt service, the next one, no activity in March. But one thing I need to tell you, if you look at June, when we normally would do our tax collection, what I did was I took 30% off the collection on property taxes. And I'll come back later in the board meeting and ask for a tax anticipation award in debt service and also in pension debt. 30% is just a guess. This has never happened before, so I don't know if it's going to be enough or not. In the tax anticipation warrant, I'm talking with Thomas Peterson. We'll pay it back within 60 days. All of our TAWs are usually paid off when I do them in December, they're paid off the following December, so they're good for 1 calendar year. This one is just a short-term, 60-day one that we'll be doing for debt service and pension. So in pension debt, there was no activity on that one. And again, you'll see a 30% reduction on that. In the operations fund, very little revenue has come in because that's strictly property taxes and CVET and FIT and excise and things of that nature. So we only brought in $6,500, but we paid out $1,990,000. So you can see that we actually paid out a heck of a lot more than what we got in, but we're still looking at about $1,500,000 cash balance at the end of the year. And the savings that we should see in this fund because of being closed would be fuel, utilities, custodial supplies, workers' comp. These are just some of the things right off the top. And then in the rainy day fund, there was no activity there. We're still sitting with a balance of $2,399,000. So if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to try to answer them.
Does anybody have any questions for Dr. Daigle?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mill had a question.
Oh, okay. Bill?
Can hear.
When we look at it, maybe in June, see what we have saved in utilities, the difference from, what we would normally pay versus what we are paying, what savings we actually have.
Well,
Utility savings, could we look at that? Maybe in June to see,
Oh, yeah.
comparison to last year?
Yeah, we can do that. Remember, we always get the bills into the next month, so not all of them come in at the same time. So I would say by July, you should have all of your June bills in, and you should be able to I can have Todd do an analysis comparing it month to month as far as what our total kilowatt hours were, also what our therms were, and then what our total savings was. Okay.
okay. Anything else? Board? All right, thank you, Dr. Daigle. Next, we have the consent agenda. Board, may I have a motion, please?
Madam
Madam
President,
President,
Okay, Ms. Gilkey, go ahead.
I move to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Gilkey. Do you have a second? Ms. Perkins? Okay, thank you, Ms. Perkins. Do we have any questions or comments on anything on the consent agenda? Personnel, anything like that? Okay. We will take a vote. All those in favor say aye. Christina?
Aye.
Teresa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Milt?
aye.
Katie?
Aye, and whatever we did to make us hear, Tom, could we undo it because we're getting echo?
I turned mine off, but.
Check.
Is that okay, good.
I'm trying to mute everybody when they're not talking, and then when they talk, I'm trying to unmute.
Okay, so,
Because of
yeah.
the feedback.
Okay, thank you. And I vote aye, so the consent agenda is passed. I'm sorry, gifts to buildings.
Hey, Janelle, real quick, could
Oh,
I
I'm
just
sorry.
make a brief comment?
Oh, okay, go ahead. Mark wants to make a comment.
Well, within the personnel report consent agenda, Pam Hall was named principal of Jeffersonville High School. I want to congratulate her. And also Laura Hubinger will be our new CFO, and I'm certainly looking forward to her coming on board and working with us. So just wanted to say a quick word and congratulate both of them.
All right. Gifts to buildings.
We We have, a couple weeks to buildings this, month, Janelle and I, the $84, the stipend that teachers got, for healthcare we got, and so Janelle and I are just giving it back, in the food closet for, that was Janelle's pay, so I love it. $28,000 from Joe Weber's circuit court. There was a Center counseling contract with elementary schools, so that is very exciting. Pleasant Ridge also got a North Clark Health Foundation grant for sensor items, and it totals, Baptist Boyd also gave to, as I gave to the classroom supplied, $25,115.70. I move that we approve the building.
Okay, thank you, Katie. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clayton, Dr. Clayton. And any questions or comments on that? All right, all those in favor of approving gifts to buildings? Christina?
Aye.
Okay, Teresa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Milt?
Aye.
Katie?
Aye.
And I approve, so gifts to buildings is approved. First action item is the Moats Group contract. And Chad, are you, or,
I have.
okay.
Board, I'm asking for your approval, recommending the approval of the Moats contract, which is the contract for the turf and track projects at both Charlestown High School and Jeffersonville High School. As soon as the permits come in, they would get started very quickly. Soon after that, they're on schedule, you know, as long as the board approves everything tonight, and permits come in to start by May 1st. The good thing is our budget was, for the tracks and turf at both places, was $2.6 million. The contract is for about $30,000 less than that, so it did come in under budget. So I'm asking the board to approve the Moats contract for the turf and tracks at both Charlestown High School and Jeffersonville High School.
Okay, board make a motion.
Madam President,
Yes.
I move the approval of the Moats group contract as presented by the superintendent.
I second.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Clayton. Thank you, Katie. Any questions or comments? Okay, we will take a vote on the approval of the Moats contract. Christina?
Aye.
Teresa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Milt?
Aye.
Katie?
Aye.
And I say aye, so the Moats Group contract is approved. Next, we have the resolutions for closing on real estate. Who's gonna,
Then purchase agreement.
what?
That very bottom.
What's that?
Look at the bottom.
Skip number 2.
Number 2.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm looking at something, I'm looking at the paper one that I got Thursday. Amend the purchase agreement for the sale of Spring Hill Elementary.
On December 18, 2015, the Board of School Trustees approved the sale of Spring Hill Elementary to the Community Action of Southern Indiana, Cassie. And at the time the parties signed the purchase agreement, we agreed to use Keitlinger and Gray for the closing. And as we were working with Cassie to get the documents together for closing, we realized that some of the parcel numbers were transposed in the parcel purchase agreement. Attached is the amended identification of the property. This amendment will allow us to correct these parcel numbers. In addition, Cassie is financing the purchase of this building, and their financial institution requires that they use Mattingly Ford for the closing and title service. So this amendment will also allow us to use Mattingly Ford for the closing and title service.
Okay, thank you, April. Do I have a motion for it?
Madam President, I move that we amend the purchase agreement for the sale of Springfield Elementary School as presented by the superintendent and council.
Thank you, Dr. Clayton. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Any questions or comments on that?
Could he repeat that? I'm not sure what Dr. Clayton said, takes in the entire recommendation. I thought I wanted to say he recommended the,
To amend the purchase,
Go ahead, Dr. Clayton.
my recommendation was to amend the purchase agreement for the sale of Spring Hill Elementary School as presented by council and approved by the superintendent.
Okay. And then we had a second on that by Mr. Hawkins. Okay. Anything else on that? All right, let's have our vote on the approval of amending the purchase agreement for the sale of Spring Hill Elementary School. Christina?
aye.
Teresa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Milt? Katie?
Aye.
And I approve, so that is approved. Our next item is resolutions for closing on real estate.
Thank you, Janelle. I'm recommending the approval of the resolutions appointing April Geltmaker to execute documents for the sale of Maple Elementary and Spring Hill Elementary. Just a reminder to the board, even though the closings may be in May or June, we will keep possession of those schools until July 1st.
Okay. All right, board, may I have a motion, please?
I move that we approve the resolution for closing real estate.
Okay, thank
For
you.
Spring Hill Maple.
All right. And thank you, Ms. Hutchinson, and our second by Mr. Buckwalter. Any questions or comments on that? Okay. We'll take a vote on the approval of resolutions for closing on real estate. Christina?
Aye.
Teresa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Milt? Katie?
Aye.
Okay, and I also say aye, so that item is approved. Our next item is the interlocal agreement with Clark County Commissioners for the emergency use of vacant space.
Yes, board, Scott Lewis, counsel for Clark County, reached out asking for some assistance in the event that Clark County would need some additional space. Should Clark County have an emergency with this COVID-19, for the Clark County Sheriff's Office, Clark County Emergency Management Agency, and or the Clark County Health Department to use our facilities. This use would only be for our facilities when we are not using them, and only if they did not have the adequate space to use them. This emergency space would be for their operations, emergency command centers, or for an emergency temporary field hospital. And the emergency interlocal agreement is attached along with our resolution for your approval.
Thank you, Ms. Gelmaker. Board, may I have a motion, please?
Madam President, I recommend that we approve the interlocal agreement with Clark County Commissioners for the emergency use of vacant space.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Okay, thank you, Ms. Gilkey. Do we have any questions or comments on that? Okay, we will take a vote on the approval of interlocal agreement with Clark County Commissioners for emergency use of vacant space. Christina?
Aye.
Teresa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Milt? Katie?
Aye.
And I also say aye, so this interlocal agreement has been approved. Our next item is the Energy Systems Group Project Development Agreement.
Yes, Board, I'm recommending the approval of the project development agreement with the Energy Systems Group. This is project development agreement number 2. If you remember, as we were going through the meetings with ESG, one of the things that came up was doing a thorough mechanical analysis and also having them look at an thorough electrical analysis. They are willing to roll this mechanical analysis into the phase 1 project at no cost. The breakaway fee listed here is $138,000. However, if we complete a phase 1 project with ESG, we will not be responsible for that breakaway fee to ESG. So I'm recommending the approval of this. It'll give us a very good analysis of our mechanicals, and we'll really know where we stand throughout our corporation.
Thank you, Mr. Lochner. Board, may I have a motion, please?
Madam President, I move that we accept the approval, that we approve the project development agreement with the Energy Savings Group as presented by the superintendent's office.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Second? Okay, thank you, Dr. Clayton. Any questions or comments on this?
I'd like to state that we've had some review work done before. I believe it's been pretty obvious that that work was not to the extent that we were asking ESG to do this. I've talked with the superintendent, and we need to maintain some continuity, and that's the reason why I had suggested, and the superintendent also felt that we would be well served to go ahead and have the organization that is doing the work to go ahead and do these assessments so that we will be able to have consistency in our engineering services.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Anything else? All right, we will take a vote on the approval of the Energy Systems Group Project Development Agreement. Christina?
Aye.
Teresa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Milt?
Aye.
Katie?
Aye.
And I also say aye, so this item is approved. Okay, our next item is the Baptist Health Agreement for Sports Medicine Services.
Yes, thank you, Board. I'm recommending for the approval. Whoops, better read off there. Thank you, Board. I'm recommending the approval of the Baptist Health Agreement for Sports Medicine Services for all 3 of our high schools. This will provide athletic trainers, certified athletic trainers at all 3 of our high schools. Baptist Health is also willing to provide a pathway sponsorship and help us create a health services or health sciences pathway specifically for athletic training. And there is no cost for their services for the athletic training, certified athletic trainers at each high school. So the fee will be 0. And so we feel like this is a really good relationship, part of our academies, and they're really stepping up and helping us out with a pathway that we can provide at all 3 high schools.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Lochner. Board, may I have a motion, please?
I move to approve the Baptist Health Agreement for Sports Medicine Services.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Buckwalter. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Any questions or comments on this?
Yes, I have one, Madam President. Is this a change from last year?
Yeah. Currently, we have Baptist Health at Charlestown High School. We have Court at Jeffersonville High School. Court's contract at Jeffersonville High School was up this year. Then we have Randy Burton at New Washington Middle High School. We had a little bit of an issue over the basketball season with Mr. Burton not being a certified athletic trainer. Another school district filed a grievance, I guess you could say, with the Attorney General's office that we were using an athletic trainer that wasn't certified. I won't name that school district, but it did cause a little bit of an issue. So this, this is a change for Jeffersonville High School and New Washington Middle High from court, and put their contracts up. And then Randy Burton, we would have to give him 60 days notice in terms of ending the agreement with him.
Okay, great.
All right.
So
Uh-huh.
we'll have the same service for all three of us now.
Yeah, the services wouldn't change in terms of, the time and, what the athletic trainers are doing.
Okay. Any other questions?
I'm losing Mark second. Yeah, I'm looking for South Mark.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
You're reverberating.
Okay. The services that are provided now would not change under Baptist Health with Jeffersonville High School and Charlestown High School in terms of the number of hours and days and covering the events.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on this? All right, we will take a vote on the approval of Baptist Health Agreement with Sports Medicine Services. Christina?
Aye.
Teresa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Milt?
Aye.
Katie?
Aye.
Okay, and I also say aye, so this is approved. Next, we have the appointment of One America as the custodian and Edward Jones as the agent of record for the Greater Clark County Schools retirement plan.
Yes, Board. We are recommending appointment of One America as the custodian and Edward Jones as agent of record for our 401A, 403B, and 457 plans. As you know, we've had a decade-plus relationship with Kevin Bayline and Bill Kaiser with Edward Jones, and we've been happy with the services they provided for us. This request is to change from Mass Mutual to One America and stay with Kevin Bayline and Bill Kaiser with Edward Jones. And this change from Mass Mutual to One America was primarily because we've had issues with Mass Mutual's customer service. Some examples include Mass Mutual's failure to respond in a timely fashion with some issues that we've had. One example came just this week with some statements that Mass Mutual sent out to our employees for first quarter, and they had errors. I don't specifically know what errors are on there, but just yesterday we received an email saying that those statements are incorrect and they would have to send out new statements. Other issues include monies not being deposited into our employees' accounts in a timely manner, overpayments not being refunded in the same year, which of course caused tax issues for our employees. We sat down and discussed these issues with Edward Jones and learned also that they too were having some of the similar issues. After having a few different discussions with Edward Jones, it was recommended that we switch from Mass Mutual to One America, due in part to the issues that we've had with Mass Mutual, but also because of better opportunities that we can provide to our employees with One America, including a better platform with One America. And with that, we're recommending the appointment of One America as the custodian and to remain with Edward Jones as our agent of record for our 401A, 403B, and 457 plans.
Madam President, I move that we approve the appointment of One American custodian and Edward Jones, agent of record for GCCS retirement plan.
Thank you, Ms. Hutchinson. And thank you, Dr. Clayton, for second. Any questions or comments?
I just have a quick comment.
Okay.
Go ahead, Bill.
Well, the only thing that I was going to say was that, has this been going on for some period of time, or it's just, just now getting on top of it?
Yes, I don't know exactly how long. I worked with Tricia Helton as our director of HR, and I know for the past at least a year and a half, she's been having a lot of the customer service issues. I've sat in a handful of meetings with her and Edward Jones regarding these issues for at least a year and a half.
Thank you very much. The reason I'm saying that is, is when we find things out, I think this is the appropriate thing to do is not contract individuals that can't comply with what our needs are.
Okay. Ms. Gilkey, do you also have a question or comment?
Yes, ma'am, just a quick comment. As over the years, I've served on a lot of different committees, but one was previously the Employee Benefits Committee. And I've had a chance to know Kevin Bayline and his partner very well. They've always presented themselves as being very professional. They've always done a very good job for our employees. I've never heard any complaints, so I definitely feel like this is the right move. And I'm sure they probably had a hand in recommending One America in place of Mass Mutual. So I just wanted to, say that I feel like this is the right thing to do for our employees.
Thank you, Ms. Gilkey. Any other questions or comments? All right, we will vote to approve, appoint One America as custodian and Edward Jones as agent of record for the Greater Clark County Schools retirement plans. Christina?
Aye.
Teresa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John? John?
Aye.
Milt?
Aye.
Katie?
Aye.
All right, and I also say aye, this item is approved. Yes,
John Buckholzer votes twice. Okay.
well,
Cancel one of them now.
and I couldn't hear you the first time.
My sling leg thing.
Okay. The next item is the approval of the master contract with the transportation employees.
Thank you, Board. The transportation employees and Greater Clark County Schools administrators reached a tentative agreement on a master contract covering both salary and wage-related benefits. The transportation employees voted to ratify their contract on April 6, 2020, and we would like to thank the transportation bargaining team members for their hard work on these negotiations. Some of the major changes to the contract are summarized below. This term is through June 21st of 2021. As far as the salary scale, beginning with this coming salary school year, the 2020-2021 school year, an additional $1 per hour will be added to each range, and $1.75 per hour will be added to the top of the scale range. They will receive a stipend for those who took the Greater Clark County School insurance to cover the cost of the health insurance premium increase like the teachers and paras received. And they also received a retirement incentive of $5,000. And a copy of their master contract tentative agreement is attached for your approval.
Okay, board, may I have a motion, please?
Madam
Madam-
President, I recommend that we approve the master contract with transportation employees.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Who just said second?
Christina?
Oh, okay, thank you, Ms. Gilpin. Any questions or comments?
We'll see. The next team for getting that worked out. Looks like it's going to be fair for everyone, and I think, well, I'm here to do that, so thank you.
Good. Okay, thank you, Mr. Buckwalter. Anything else? Okay, we will vote on the approval of the master contract with the transportation employees. Christina?
We'll take a chance.
Aye.
Is John still talking?
He's muted.
What's going on, John? Now, did you have another comment, Mr. Buckwalter?
No, I was muted. I've been muted this time.
See, that's what happens whenever you mess up.
I think Renee is in charge of this.
Yeah, yeah.
You should have drawn, I'll never say it.
You should have brought her that cake, Sean. Now she's shutting you off.
Okay, we will, let's take a vote on the approval of master contract with transportation employees. Christina?
Aye.
Teresa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John?
Okay.
Milt?
Aye.
Katie?
Aye.
Okay, and I also say aye. This item is approved. Next item is authorization to bid the Charlestown Middle School pool.
Board, as you know, the pool at Charlestown Middle School has been closed for about 2 years, I believe. I'm recommending the approval to bid the Charlestown Middle School pool project.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lochner. Board, may I have a motion, please?
I move that we authorize the bid of the Charlestown Middle School pool.
Thank you, Ms. Hutchinson. A second? Okay, thank you, Dr. Clayton. Any questions or comments on this? All right, we will take a vote on the authorization to bid the Charlestown Middle School pool. Christina?
Aye.
Teresa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John? Milt?
Aye.
Katie?
Aye.
And I also say aye, so this item is approved. The next item is the summer landscaping and painting.
Yes, for the past several years, we have employed summer term employees to maintain the grounds and paint throughout the corporation. We would like to continue that practice during the summer of 2020. We'll also use them as movers to move Springline Maple over to Franklin Square. These positions will be posted internally to allow current members to apply for summer work. We also plan to hire students, which are usually college students. Listed below are the costs, so we're going to have 2 lead painter landscapers at $12 an hour for 8 hours times 44 days, so that'll total $8,448. 9 landscaper painters at $10 per hour, 8 hours per day times 44 days is $31,680. So the proposed summer costs are $40,128. So we're recommending approval for the summer employees.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Geigel. Board, may I have a motion, please?
Madam President, I move that we approve the summer landscaping and painting services for the employees.
Second.
All right, thank you, Dr. Clayton, thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Any questions or comments on this?
Yes, I have a question.
Okay, Ms. Perkins?
My agenda thank you. My agenda that I printed off has different numbers from what Dr. Geigel just gave us. Was that a late change or?
It was a 1 and 10 and 2 instead of 2 and 9 as far as lead versus.
We have 1 lead. Yeah, 1 instead, you said 2.
Yes, it was originally it was going to be 1 and 10, and then in talking with Mr. Lochner, we wanted to have 2 foremen, so we just reduced one of the 10 to 9. So that was a late change.
And the thought behind that is that we're gonna have a significant amount of moving to do with all the stuff that's in our transportation facilities, also all the teachers that need to be moved from Spring Hill and Maple into Franklin Square. And we really need to do it like we did last year, where we had two groups of, two crews basically. One crew would be doing landscaping, helping move. The other crew would focus on painting.
Mark, are they aware, I'm not seeing it on here, but are they aware they're gonna be moving things? Not just landscaping, painting, they know they're gonna be coming with it.
I think that's one of those other duties as assigned. I know they did it last year. Tom and Chad and I and Todd talked about that they did do some moving, even move some stuff here in the admin building, so.
Will help move teachers
What was that, Ms. Hutchinson?
you and I will help move people.
Who will?
Me and you.
I don't think so.
You volunteer me for stuff all the time.
You and Ms. Perkins already made a motion and a second for me to be here tonight. Okay.
Ms. Gilkey has a question.
Oh, Ms. Gilkey, you have a question, please?
I think where John was going is that as we hire those individuals, make sure it's clear to them that they will be doing extra assignments. Just so they know.
All right, Ms. Gilkey?
Well, I actually have a little deeper of a concern about that. April, if you could weigh in here. I'm concerned that if they're listed in as a job description for landscaping and painting, but they get hurt moving heavy furniture, that could be a liability problem.
I don't know, Tom, I mean, it was one of the things we discussed.
They would still be covered under the workers' comp. We did discuss the job descriptions, so we'll need to look into that one.
In terms of some of those things falling in the other duties assigned, very similar to what our custodians and maintenance people have. In helping out with moving some of those things that we need moved.
Excuse me, do I need to amend my recommendation to include moving? Hello? But to amend to add to the landscaping and painting, also moving equipment, movement of equipment?
And furniture.
And we'll moving equipment, just so that they're aware.
Yeah.
They're good painter, I don't have to do anything.
Well,
Do
yeah,
we-
painters generally move, or
Ladders and all that stuff, I understand.
blood stuff that can't have it.
Do we want to,
Yeah, we're gonna be moving desks and other types of supplies, should we just go ahead and approve that? Add that to that?
Yes, Mr. Clayton, that'd be fine.
Mr. Clayton, you want to go ahead and make that motion again?
Okay. Madam President, I move that, approve the hiring of summer employees for landscaping, painting, and moving of equipment.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Clayton. We have a second on that.
I say,
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Buckwalter.
Marcus seconded originally.
yeah, so probably he has to, yeah.
If he would, that's,
What's that?
I second the revised movement by Dr. Clayton.
Okay, Mr. Hawkins, because you were the one who did so the first time, is that correct? Okay.
Understood, yes.
Yes, thank you. All right.
Not to be a stick, but, we already had a motion on the floor, didn't we?
Yes.
Withdraw the motion then?
Oh, do we have to withdraw it before we make a new one?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Ms. Perkins, would you like to make a motion to withdraw the original motion?
make a motion that we withdraw the original recommendation of hiring summer team employees in landscaping painting.
Okay?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hawkins and Ms. Perkins. Okay, now, Dr. Clayton, could you make the motion, remake that motion, please?
Move to, hire summer employees for landscaping, and painting, and movement of equipment.
Okay?
Second.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Clayton and Mr. Hawkins.
And equipment and furniture to be fixed.
All
I'm
right,
asking, that's what you guys questioned.
Can't hear.
well,
I say yes, Renee.
Yes.
That's Milt's, motion, so you'll have to say yes or no.
Yes, Renee.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
okay. Any other questions or comments?
I have one comment. Since we are talking about multiple different scopes of work, it might be advantageous for the lead men or lead persons in each crew to track the hours of the each procedure. And the reason why is because the workman's comp rates for those will vary, and we want to make sure that we don't get tagged by workman's comp if somebody does get hurt and they don't have the hours showing that they were working on that particular item.
Okay, is that currently part of what the lead person would do anyway? Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Okay, anything else on this item? All right, so we will take a vote on the approval of hiring the summer landscaping, painting, and moving equipment and furniture. Christina?
Aye.
Teresa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John? Milt?
Aye.
Katie?
Aye.
And I also say aye. This item is approved. The next item is the authorization to bid the Pleasant Ridge Drainage Project.
Yes, the administration, in conversation with several residents behind Pleasant Ridge Elementary School regarding the ponding of water in their yard coming from our property. We have been working with Harold Hart to develop a bid specification to rectify the problem. We have money set aside in the 2019 bond issue for this project, and the city of Charlestown is also willing to help. We will split the total cost 50-50 with the city. So we're asking permission to go ahead and issue this bid request.
Okay, board, may I have a motion, please?
Madam President?
Yes.
Go ahead, Teresa.
Okay, Madam President, I move that we approve the bid for the Pleasant Ridge Drainage Project as submitted.
Second.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Perkins and Dr. Clayton. Any questions or comments? I know. Okay.
My question is, Tom, do you know if what they're planning to do will actually take care of that water buildup behind Pleasant Ridge, or is this just another going to waste of dollars? I mean, from the beginning of the building of that school, there's been water issues. Is this going to take care of the problem?
We hope so. We're looking to put a culvert, drainage tile back in there, and then it'll run out to the street behind Pleasant Ridge, so the water will drain into the drainage tile and then go out to the city, or out to the sewer.
So what we're doing is connecting a drain to the sewer?
Yes.
In other words, okay.
Because right now, there's nothing there, the water is ponds.
Thank you.
Okay.
And Tom, that's going to the storm sewer, correct? I mean, the city's gonna have to do with that, right?
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments on this item?
I have one. Has the city engineer looked at this also?
Yes, we've been working with, Todd's been working with the city engineer on this project.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, any other questions or comments? Let's take a vote on the authorization to bid the Pleasant Ridge drainage project. Christina?
Aye.
Teresa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Milt?
Aye.
Katie?
Aye.
I also vote aye. This item is approved. Next item is the authorization to bid the debt service and pension debt tax anticipation warrant.
Yes, as I stated in the cash flow presentation, not knowing how much money we're not going to collect in June for our property taxes. This is just a guess, and we're looking at $1,870,000 in debt service, which is 30% of what we normally would have collected based on our budget. And then in pension debt, it's $245,000. This would be due August 11th. If the borrowing, or if the county doesn't pay us by August 11th, there's language in the document that says that we can extend the August 11th due date. We just negotiate with the lending institution that will be awarded the tax anticipation warrants. Also, I just want to let you know that all of our TAWs, our tax anticipation warrants, are always paid off by December 31st. This is an interim borrowing that we're doing. It's just a short term because of this 2-month extension. And then a question was raised on common school fund loans. We pay those off 2 a year, but we also add 2 a year. So we're always going to have 2 per year that's payable over 5 years. So there's always 10 common school fund loans outstanding at any given time. So with that, we're asking permission to do the short-term borrowing for 60 days based on the unknown. So we're asking permission.
All right, board, may I have a motion, please? Thank you, Dr.
Madam President, I move approve authorization to bid debt service and pension debt tax anticipation warrants.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Clayton, and thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Any questions or comments on this?
I'd like to make one comment. I would like to also point out to some of our local media that this does not mean that we are going broke, as has been stated in the past.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. I'm not turning on the 10 o'clock news, just in case. Okay, any other questions or comments? All right, we will take a vote on approving the authorization to bid debt service and pension debt tax anticipation warrants. Ms. Christina?
Aye.
Teresa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Milt?
Aye.
Katie? I'm sorry, Katie?
Aye.
Oh, okay, thank you. And also say aye. This item is approved. Next item is donations to Clark County Emergency Management Department.
Yes, schools in Clark County, all 3 schools in Clark County have been approached by the Clark County Emergency Management Department for any PPE type equipment, supplies that we can spare. Everybody's looking for, the masks and things of that nature. So we have a list that Teresa Stengel put together of things that we can donate. It's coming from the nurses area. It's also coming from Project Lead the Way. We have UV lamps that we're giving them, four lamps that they can sterilize the equipment with. And also included in this is a resolution that the State Board of Accounts has approved, allowing us to donate any future items to the emergency management for COVID-19. So we're asking permission to give this equipment and supplies to Clark County, and also to approve the resolution that's attached.
All right, board, may I have a motion, please?
Move to approve.
Madam President,
Go ahead.
go ahead, Don.
Move to approve the Clark County Emergency Department and still has.
Thank you, Mr. Buckwalter. May I have a second? Second. Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Any questions or comments?
That was Ms. Gilby.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was Ms. Gilkey with the second.
Now, Tom, we're keeping some items for our employees that need to be out moving around, right? Mask or anything?
Yes, we still have a supply.
I mean, no.
Tom, I have another question also.
Mhm.
Is this equipment, at some point, going to come back to us when this emergency passes? Or will it continue to maintain with the county? And if it does maintain with the county, will we be responsible for replacing it?
This is a donation, so we're not going to be getting it back, but we will be replacing it. Since FEMA has declared Indiana a disaster area, these are some of the items that we will be putting on our list to get reimbursement for. So we will be able to purchase those supplies back again.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? All right, we will take a vote on the approval of donations to Clark County Emergency Management Department. Christina?
Aye.
Teresa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Milt?
Aye.
Katie?
Aye.
And I also say aye. This item is approved. Next, we have requests for proposals for food service management.
Yes, this is, every 5 years we have to go through this, since we have an outside vendor as our food service management provider, which is Aramark currently. So we're having to go through this process. We have to get approval from the food service department in Indianapolis. So what we're asking for is approval for the bid for management service agreement for food service. It's a 1-year contract with 4 one-year renewals. And if you remember, every year I come to you and it'd be like a cost of living increase on the management fee and the meal served. So that's how we basically do it. So we'll bid it out, it'll be the first year, and then we'll come to you every year for a renewal for the next year. So the bids will be published in the News and Tribune tomorrow, April 15th and April 22nd. Bids will be due May 15th. We will invite the companies to come in and make a presentation to our committee, which is Janelle is on the committee, I believe, and so is Teresa. And was there another board member? You just have 2, or was there 3?
Janelle,
Teresa, okay. So then we would come to the board at the second board meeting in May, hopefully with a decision and a recommendation to the board for approval. So we're asking permission to bid out the management service agreement for food service.
All right, thank you, Dr. Dykle. Board, may I have a motion, please?
Madam President, move we approve the request for proposals for food service management.
Thank you, Dr. Clayton. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Any questions or comments about this?
I have one question, please. Is this a authorization to bid or an authorization to accept qualifications?
This is an authorization to bid it out.
Yeah. The state requires an RFP for this, don't they? Okay.
It's like a 5-page.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments? All right, we will take a vote on the approval of the request for proposals for food service management. Christina?
Aye.
Teresa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Milt?
Aye.
Katie?
Aye.
Okay, and I also vote aye. This item is approved. Next, we have the 504 agreement with PCG Indiana. And this is, Dr. Hartledge, is this you?
Yes, it
Okay.
is me. Thank you.
This is Dr. Hartledge.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay. The agreement with Public Consultant Group will support the creation of 504 documents. Public Consultant Group will also support the creation of IEPs, individualized educational plans for special education students, and ILPs for English language learners. The addition of this program will be a more efficient method in the creation of 504 plans and will assist schools in holding annual reviews of the plans. The fees will be paid with grant funds and will be renewed yearly through grant funding as well.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Hartledge. Board, may I have a motion, please?
Madam President, I move that we approve the 504 agreement with PCG Indiana.
Thank you, Ms. Hutchinson. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins.
I do have a question. And this is Dr. Hartledge is presenting this, correct? Or wait,
Yes.
Yes.
Who's presenting? Dr.
It's
Hartledge.
through Brooke, and Brooke is, it's
Okay.
from the special education department.
So, this will actually, so for teachers that have caseloads that normally do the creations of 504s, and so they're only going to do 504s, not, okay, so they are going to support the IEPs and ILPs. Then in addition, they'll be more effective and method in creating 504 plans, okay? So this will actually free up time, will this help ease the burden of teachers of special ed students needs that have caseloads?
Yes, currently, or in past years, we've used Indiana IIEP, and the IEPs, if you'll remember a few years ago, they used to be handwritten, and then they went to an electronic method. 504s and ILPs have been handwritten documents, and now this system will allow us to create the 504 and ILPs within a system that will make it much more user-friendly and the management of it more conducive to all of the requirements, and as we have to renew plans and so forth. It's much easier to manage through this service.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I remember the handwritten method.
Yes, it's,
Okay, any other questions or comments?
Is this the only game in town, or have you looked at other management systems in this regard, or is this the one that most are using? I'm just out of curiosity.
this is the one the state has been using through Indiana IIEP, and just recently they've added the extension to be and the functionality to be able to do a 504 as well as an ILP and put it all in one package.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. And it's there's a $1,500 implementation fee and a $3,500 annual renewal fee.
And you said that's paid for out of a grant?
Federal grant funds, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I just would like to comment really quickly. Several of the families that I work with, the specified use has an IEP or a 504. And I've attended some of those annual reviews, and they are using the electronic process that makes it so much more efficient. And after everything's gone through and typed in, they can literally print off a copy of that IEP and hand it to the parent before they ever even leave the meeting. So I definitely agree with the efficiency of this and look forward to it helping everybody, families, teachers, everybody have a clear understanding of exactly what their child's education plan looks like.
Thank you, Ms. Gilpin. Yes. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, we will take a vote on the approval of the 504 agreement with PCG Indiana, Inc. Christina?
Aye.
Teresa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Milt, Katie,
Aye.
and I also vote aye, and this item is approved. Next, we have the spring 2020 common school loan application.
Yes, ma'am. As Dr. Dykel mentioned earlier, we do submit this twice a year to help fund our technology needs. The Common School Fund is available to assist school corporations in financing their school building construction and educational technology programs. We intend to use this loan for the following educational tech programs: the annual lease of our one-to-one Chromebook devices. We will utilize these funds to update and replace classroom interactive whiteboards with active panels, and the purchase of additional HP Chromebook devices due to loss, breakage, or damage during extended COVID-19 closure.
Thank you, Dr. Hartley. Board, may I have a motion, please?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Madam President, I move that we approve the corporation's application for this common school fund loan for the Indiana Department of Education in the amount of $1,007,075 for educational technology.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Hutchinson, and thank you, Dr. Clayton, for your second. Any questions or comments on this?
I have a question. On the breakage of these Chromebooks during this period of time, have we had a whole lot or just a small amount?
We have had, we've designated specific times for parents to come in because certainly we want the children's education to be consistent. And so while it's not been terrible, we do anticipate that we'll have more than usual because there's, so much more concentrated use of them. And so far, we have not seen a huge increase, but before it's over with, there could be.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
All right, any other
I have
questions? Yeah, go ahead.
It's not exactly about this loan, but I'm going to say that we were very, very forward-thinking in getting our one-to-one project up and running because I've been talking to some other people in other school corporations, and a lot of them are struggling with the distance learning piece of this. They don't have computers, and I know of one elementary school that they're just killing trees after another, after another, after another, and doing packets for these kiddos. And I am very, very pleased that we have this up.
I want to thank, Mr. Walker for that. I echo Teresa's of that. And Dr. Cartledge, and everybody else that was involved in, almost forcing it through some people, that we can do this, that it's time. I'm very proud of our teachers, our students, our parents, and our administration.
Thank you. I just had that conversation today, how fortunate we are. The state is requiring us to submit some learning plans, and we have been so far above everyone else in regard to our ability to provide that non-traditional instruction in an effective manner with consistency. We've had a very smooth transition. While it's not perfect, we feel very strongly that our students have continued to have a good exposure and support with the plan that we started working on a year ago. So we appreciate the support the board gave us to be able to have this ready to go under this unforeseen circumstance.
Is there any, we can go to, I know it's eating the elephant one bite at a time, but in terms of, if we were able to segue into this during the school year, how difficult is this going to be to roll out? If we have to roll this out at the beginning of the school year, is that going to require a bunch of teacher training? Or Okay, we haven't thought that far yet, I'm just,
I missed part of your question, Mr. Buckwalter, but I think you were asking about the fall and the future.
the university's already talking about it.
Yeah, we have not really gotten that far yet. It is on the horizon for us to discuss and have some plans in place if that were to come to fruition. But right now, we're just trying to take it 1 week at a time, and close with all the graduation requirements and things that we have to make sure.
You know, university level, so if it hits us, I just don't want the blind side of it.
You backing on John's comment, I don't think we need to walk this thing through. I think we need to go ahead and plan. This is just the, I think being prepared is the same way we were when we approved the e-learning being a step ahead. So I think we need to be a step ahead so that we don't be like the federal government. You know, trying to walk after the fact, okay?
I have a question, just due to that, what tech panels versus interact to whiteboard. How far along in our changeover from interactive whiteboards to the active panels are we roughly, percentage-wise, 30, 50? Just for my curiosity right now.
I do not have that exact information as far as the percentages. I can get that from Ms. Bauer.
I don't,
We've lost you, Bill.
oh, yeah,
Okay.
Here,
No, I
hear me?
would guess that it's about half, around 50%.
How much effort for you, but I
Okay. Any other questions or comments on the common school loan application?
and I'm proud that we're on the Burton board Kim because she probably remembers this, that widows don't build dendrites, and I think we're showing that.
There you go.
All right. Okay. Let's have a vote on the approval of the spring 2020 common school loan application. Christina?
Aye.
Teresa?
Aye.
Bill? John?
Aye.
Milt? Katie?
Aye.
And also vote aye, so this item is approved. Next, we have approval to declare bus 10-17 General Ed school bus as surplus and trade in to Midwest Transit Equipment LLC. We have Chad Shank.
Good evening, board. Can you hear me? Okay, we'll see if this goes through. Upon recommendation from Jeff Brooks, our garage mechanic supervisor, we would like for the board to declare bus 1017, which is a general education school bus, as surplus. Furthermore, we're recommending the surplus bus become a trade-in bus to Midwest Transit Equipment LLC for parts repairs credit of $1,000.
Chad, they can't hear you.
Hang on.
Okay, we're trying to take care of it.
Microphone doesn't show that he's muted for today.
Right there and vote.
How about now? How about now?
Oh, yeah.
That better? Okay. We'll start over. So upon recommendation from Jeff Brooks, our garage mechanic supervisor, we'd like the board to declare bus 1017 a gen ed school bus as surplus. And furthermore, we're recommending the surplus school bus become a trade-in bus to Midwest Transit Equipment LLC for a parts repairs credit of $1,000. Bus 1017's engine is blown and will approximately $6,000 to $7,000 to fix. It's a spare bus and it's not needed. And you have the make, model, and the VIN number.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Shink. Board may have a motion.
I'm sorry, I move that, we declare bus bus 1017, spare bus entering to Midwestern Transit. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hutchinson. Who just seconded?
Bill, I think.
Milt, did you just, Dr. Clayton, did you just second that?
Yes, I did.
Okay, Dr. Clayton. Any questions or comments?
How much I need for that meeting?
$1,000, yes, sir. $1,000, yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm surprised either.
Okay, anything else?
I'm fine, and I'm fine.
Okay, let's take a vote on the approval to declare bus 10-17 general ed school bus as surplus and traded into Midwest Transit Equipment LLC. Christina? Teresa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John? Milt?
Aye.
Katie?
Aye.
Okay, and I also vote aye, so this item is approved. And our last item, action item is declaration of district surplus obsolete equipment for auction with Lincoln Crumb Realty in auctions. Okay, Chad?
Yes, Ms. Fitzpatrick, thank you. Board, you have attached an equipment list. You can see that in board docs. We're asking for approval of those items that are listed for surplus and be deemed obsolete. We would be conducting this auction with Lincoln Crumb Realty and Auctions. Lincoln, about a year and a half ago, answered the RFP for auction services, so he has the contract with the school corporation to hold any of our auctions that we would have. The auction is set to take place beginning tomorrow and running for about a 2 to 3 week period of time. He's also taking extra precautions given the COVID-19 pandemic and scheduling the pickup. You may have a question of wonder why now and why not wait until May 1 Spring Hill, wait until the teachers and the principals have had chances to go through all of that equipment. This equipment primarily is located at the service center, and we had a pre-bid meeting for contractors. As soon as that bidding is awarded for the new service center, all of those buildings down there will be demolished. Therefore, we need to try and get rid of as much of that equipment as possible. So the equipment you see on this list primarily is the equipment that we have at the service center.
Okay, I think I just
Service
lost.
center.
No, I can hear, okay. All right, board may have a motion, please.
And for the declaration of the district, there will be approved declaration of district surplus obsolete equipment for auction with Lincoln Realty and Auction LLC.
All right. And
I'll
those-
second.
Okay, and Mr. Hoffman, was that you on the second?
Yes.
Okay, so Dr. Clayton made the motion and Mr. Hawkins on the second. Any questions or comments? And I have one, Chad. I tried to bring this up, I'm afraid I'm going to zoom out. So
Yes.
did you take those two items off?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The list you have is the updated list
Okay,
from today.
all right.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
The list you have is the updated
I
list.
do
from
have
today.
one question. Late. When will Mr. Crumb's contract back?
I believe,
There's term contract. I don't know if it was,
I believe it expires December of 2020. December of 2020.
December 2020, all right. Any other questions or comments? All right, let us take a vote on approving the declaration of district surplus obsolete equipment for auction with Lincoln Crum Realty and Auctions LLC. Christina?
Aye.
Teresa?
Aye.
Bill?
aye.
John?
Aye.
Milt?
Aye.
Katie? Okay, Katie? I see her saying aye. Okay. And also
That's
vote.
my cat.
Oh.
Aye.
Oh, gosh. I also vote aye, so this item is approved. We have no public comments on non-agenda items. Board comments? Is there anyone who would like to make a comment? Say 51, by the way.
I want to give a shout out to just specifically a couple teachers who
What?
were killing.
Are you all hearing that? Oh, okay.
Okay. It's really doing a great job. And Marcy Skelton from Wilson, I saw her on Facebook. Do you know her husband's some sort of biologist, and they have 25 tarantulas in their house. Wilson's doing improved stuff about, tours of the teacher's houses, and it was really cool that the teachers are having fun and
Thank you. Christina?
the tour.
Excuse me, I'd like to say, I want to thank all, I said I would like to thank all the people out there about anything other than maybe how they get to technology for a computer. But when I talk to kids, credit for a job well done.
Thank you. Ms. Gilkey?
I just wanted to thank everybody who is not tonight, for example, Janelle, and I know Jorge is there, Kim Hartledge, April, Chad, Tom, Mark. I think Natalie's there, although I can't see her, but I see her box on my screen. I see you all practicing your social distancing, and I'm proud of you guys for doing that and for being there tonight while the rest of us are comfy and warm in our own homes. And I just also want to thank Renee for setting all this up and hosting the meeting. And I'm glad that you're back with us and recovering well.
Thank you, Ms. Gilkey. Mr. Hawkins?
Obviously, I can't see everything that's going on, as Ms. Gilkey pointed out, but I did notice that Mr. Schneck had a similar situation, similar setup, and whenever he was speaking using this headset, I didn't have any problem at all hearing him. We didn't have any I didn't experience any crosstalk or echoes, and I'd like to make a recommendation that we have our IT department look at possibly picking that up for the rest of the members if we have to do this again in May. Pick these headsets up for use with the laptops so that it might relieve some of the sound issues that Renee's had to deal with.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hawkins. Ms. Perkins?
Yes, I everything everybody else said about the work that's being done, and the professionalism by which they're going about it. But this question is for Superintendent. Are you going to give us any kind of update tonight on, or if you have any update, you may not, on graduation from, I'm sure we're all getting comments about that, and there may not be any right now. But do you have any, I know you were meeting with your captain about that. Is there anything that you can share with us this time, or will it be a later date?
What was it asked specifically?
Any updates on graduation,
Okay,
if there are any?
yeah, as far as prom goes, we have canceled the prom dates, because we felt like we needed to let our parents know as soon as possible on that. Graduation dates, we're still holding out hope that we'll be able to do something. Even if we can't hold graduation on the dates we have on the calendar right now, we want to do something for our seniors, even if it's during the middle of the summer or, even next fall if we have to. We just don't know what that's going to look like yet.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Perkins. Mr. Buckwalter?
I just say thank you to you. I know you and several other board members have been out and helped those lunches and making sure those people with Judy are taking care of kids and taking care of people and taking care of kids. And that, you're going out on a long limb and appreciate it. That's just shouting out to you all and everybody for coordinating this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Buckwalter. I'd just like to say, I just can't believe the things that we do from all corners of our school system just to make things work and just to adapt, It's just been amazing to watch people who could just as easily sit at home right now and volunteer and say, where can I help, and that kind of stuff. So it's awesome. It's a really hard time for everybody. But it's just amazing how much we've come together.
I have one more comment I'd like to make. I'd like to praise. As a few of you may know, I've been self-isolating here. I've had a couple of issues that were questionable, and our wellness clinic, Dr. Furr, have gone far and above any medical staff that I've had over the course of the last 20 years. I cannot, for our staff, our members, our administrative staff, I cannot recommend Dr. Furr any more highly. His work over there is excellent. I've never met a physician that cared more time into making sure he takes the time to go through, study your problems, study your charts, make the recommendations, and then follow them. It's an excellent resource.
Thank you, Mr. Hoffman. Mr. Longman?
Yeah, real quick, I want to thank all of you for being patient tonight, working through this technology issue, but it seemed to work out all right. And I want to thank, I can't begin to tell you how many decisions had to be made over the last 3 or 4 weeks. And so, I just want to thank the cabinet members and everybody involved in that decision-making process, because almost every time we met, to make decisions to handle this situation, everybody brought, in the cabinet brought great ideas to the table, and we're right on point in terms of how we needed to handle things. And I think, that's one of the reasons things have gone pretty smoothly so far for us in Greater Clark, is that, the cabinet members, were right on top of things, and I appreciate that.
Ms. Gelmaker? Dr. Dackel? Chad? Okay. All right. Board, may I have a motion for adjournment?
Move that.
Thank you.
That's the standard, Bill.
And Christina, what do you say about that?
Second,
No, Aye, there you go, that's a good one. Yeah, Teresa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Milt?
Aye.
Katie?
Aye.
And I also say aye, and we are adjourned.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you all so much.